Hey guys, it's Noah here from iHollywood TV, where our next guest is an American actress. She had reoccurring roles on Charmed and as Ellen on Will and Grace, but you might best know her from Disney Channel's sitcom series Good Luck Charlie. Please welcome Leigh-Allyn Baker to iHollywood TV. Hello, Leigh-Allyn.
Hi.
How are you?
So good. I'm so happy to see your smiley, sweet face.
Oh, I'm so happy to see you. I'm actually stoked to be able to get to meet you, like, even on the computer screen. I was looking forward to this. I could not wait, and I've watched you for so long, and you look better than ever, Lee.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm getting up there in age. You know, it's so funny because sometimes when people see me and they recognize me, they're like, and I'd say to my husband, oh my gosh, are they looking me up because I look so old that they don't recognize me anymore?
How is life in Tennessee?
I love it. I love it. You know, I can walk outside and breathe oxygen freely and no one tries to inhibit my movement or where I go or what I do or what I say. And people are so friendly and welcoming and loving. It's just a great place to raise kids and have a family.
Well, let's go ahead and jump right into our conversation because we have a lot to talk about in our tell-all interview. First off, the direction Hollywood is going is so bizarre. We see it happening on television. You know, you got canceled, and now you're taking on, I think, very few roles, but you're taking on a faith-based movie that we will talk about here momentarily. Your new movie coming out in theaters titled Family Camp. But tell us why you decided to leave Hollywood, because I think if you don't align with Hollywood's values and how they want you to be as a star, they will kick you off to the side of the curb and you will be without a job.
So I really left the state of California is where the big breakup took place. My children had severe reactions to their vaccines. Like I'm talking like physical seizures. We have a medical exemption for both of my kids. And I love it when people say to me, well, we agree to disagree. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And they'll say, well, we agree to disagree. And I was like, what does that mean? So if you came to me and said, I've been diagnosed with cancer, what I'm supposed to say, no, you haven't. We have a different opinion on it. I mean, of course, that's crazy. So we had a medical exemption for them to go to school. And then the state of California passed a law to take all the medical exemptions away from only 4,000 students that had them in the state and consider your child collateral damage for the greater good. And then 2 weeks into this pandemic being introduced, our governor had said that we will not get back to a normal life until every single person in the state of California is to be vaccinated. So in my opinion, like that can't happen for us. So we had to move somewhere where we could be safe, where people would respect our freedom to choose what goes in our bodies. And so that's the main reason that I got out of there. Now more than ever, with everything that's going on in the world and all the misinformation that's on the news and is floating about out there, now is when no one should be silenced. Now is the time for questions. Now is the time for communication. Now is the time to learn from one another and share our stories. It's not the time to gag people. And by the way, if you're on the side that wants to gag people and shut them up, you're not going to be on the right side of history here. You're just not.
Now, you went to being the #1 show in the world, Disney's Good Luck Charlie, which that happened back in the day when they were filming, to now being canceled, as we just said. So, you know, being canceled, how has this affected your career? And do you think that you will ever personally return to a cable TV sitcom series?
Well, I mean, right now I'm focused on my children. I do have a movie coming out May 13th.
Yes, we're going to talk all about it. Family Camp.
The faith-based community has been really amazing to me and really welcomed me with open arms and has really caught me in what was a pretty tumultuous fall in my career. But I guess I'm a little naive. I thought that when I shared the experience of what happened with my children, there would be compassion, but there wasn't compassion. I was labeled a murderer, a liar, a racist, all for just sharing a very personal story that
something that was on your mind.
I had no choice but to speak out about it. There are people that have vaccine injuries from the regular vaccine schedule. I mean, that is a fact. That's why they passed the Act of 1986, where drug companies are not liable anymore because they were going to go under from being sued for so many injuries. You know, they know that these injuries exist. They have them on the warning label. My children were diagnosed with them. And so for someone to come up to me and threaten to kill us or I get threatened to be raped a lot. I don't know what that bizarre one is, but
Really?
that's a bizarre one. And of course they want my ugly kids to die, all this hate. And I just thought, you're really doing this to the wrong person, because I am not someone that can be shut up easily. I'm really like, you poke the mama bear and she's not going back into her cave. I'm just not.
That's right. Leigh-Allyn, you're not the only one getting canceled. So many are these days because they're speaking their mind. They're telling it how they view it. But if it doesn't align with how Hollywood wants it, you're done. Your career's over with. But Judge Catherine Mizell, she voided the travel mask mandate, which should have been done a long time ago, because it's just been ridiculous that the COVID cases have continued to decline and we're still wearing masks. But now so many stars are tweeting out about how they will continue to wear their masks and how everyone else should as well. Here are a couple of tweets that I saw on Twitter this weekend that I was just like, what? All these celebrities are coming together as a group, as in a huddle, to say, keep wearing your mask. One in particular, the co-host from The Real, Lonnie Love, she tweeted out to her followers, flying out ... And yes, I'm extra, with a selfie and a mask, as we can see right there. One in particular that really caught my attention with his profanity to his followers. This is such a great example to our young generation, everyone. Roland Martin tweeted, I don't give a damn what some grossly unqualified Donald Trump judge said. I'm double masked and wearing goggles. He's wearing goggles on this Nashville to DC flight. I had COVID in December, and y'all can kiss my ass about me not wanting it again, and any fool saying they don't matter is a damn liar. Oh my God. Leigh-Allyn, what do you think about that? Tell me.
Listen, I've got all these wisecracking remarks, like hundreds of them, like on my Rolodex, just flying around in my head. But the truth is, it's sad. It's sad that people have been so brainwashed. I'm going to level with you. I've never worn a mask once. I've done 3 movies, driven across the country multiple times, worked with people from all over the world, in close contact, hugged people, kissed people, eaten after people drank, shared spoons with people, and I'm alive. The severe death winter did not get me as much as Joe Biden wanted it to. See, it's really not a political statement. It is.
It's common sense.
It's common sense. How can someone with a mask look at everybody in a room with no mask and think, I'm doing the right thing here. I'm preventing disease from being spread. It even said it on the very beginning of this situation on the box that masks do not stop viruses. They just don't. It's like trying to stop a mosquito with a chain link fence. It just doesn't work. And I got a lot of flack at that school board meeting because I says masks inhibit oxygen to your brain, and they do, especially for children. They inhibit their brain growth. People then later wrote, I think it was Inside Edition, that said that I refuse to protect my children from COVID. First of all, that was a gross misstatement. But the other thing that I would say is, if there was a pandemic so deadly that people were dying in their homes and in the street, which in this one, no one died in their homes. Every single person that died in this pandemic only died in a hospital. But let's say this pandemic is like wiping people out. You're going to send your kid to school during that with a mask thinking that's going to protect them? Like, I question your parenting skills if you think that is going to save them.
And now you homeschool your kids. So how is that going for you, taking them out of public or private school and doing it yourself?
Well, it's literally like Amy Duncan teaching her children. I'm not going to lie. It's a party every day. But I will say this. When I moved to Tennessee, I was hopeful that the schools would be better, but they've just changed the name to some of their woke curriculum. They have changed the name to wit and wisdom or social emotional learning. And unfortunately, these are just buzzwords to make it okay to indoctrinate a woke generation, and by that, what I mean is, if you're telling children that they're a victim because of their skin color, or they're an evil person because of their skin color, you are creating segregation and racism, and I don't support it. And when you're confusing and wanting to talk to children about sex, I'm sorry, this is my opinion on it. It doesn't belong in schools. I don't want teachers teaching my children about heterosexual sex, gay sex, just no sex on the table for you, because that's my child to figure out for themselves. They're supposed to teach them math, English language arts, Spanish, science. I mean, these are things that are supposed to be taught.
The basics. not telling us like, oh, it's okay, this is how you can be, let them figure it out on their own. Don't tell us and don't pump it down our child's brain. You know what I mean?
Right. Because what happens is you've now made it unpopular for children to be in their skin of color. Mm-hmm. So then you've made it popular for them to be a unique, either LGBTQ2A plus, transgender, which those people like are real and exist. But now you've made it to where that's a safe haven for people to run to, even that's not who intrinsically they may actually be inside. So now you're creating a false narrative for children and pushing them in a direction that they may not want to go. And that may be safe and fine and good until you start talking about giving them drugs and mutilation of the body. That's a decision for someone to make when they're sure, when they're an adult, when they're older, and they want to make that decision for themselves. It's certainly not a decision for the government to make for children. It's a disservice to everyone. It's a disservice to children who are not really that way and who are now going to be living a false narrative. And it's insulting the children who really are made that way. And now they're a dime a dozen. Do you know what I mean? So
like, what? So confused. Like,
so confusing to everybody. And the bottom line is it just doesn't belong in school.
Absolutely.
There's a school down the street from where I live where there are children who have identified as kittens. And now we're getting into supporting mental illness. If you identify it, I told my kid, you want to identify as a kitten, then you're going to be fed twice a day, and you're going to get that smelly little cat food out of a can. And then if we're going to go on an airplane somewhere, do I put you under the seat? Do I have to buy a ticket for them, or do they ride under the seat in front of me? I mean, there comes a point where this is ridiculous.
Yeah. That is crazy. That is bizarre and insane, and I just don't know what's going on in the country. I've never seen nothing like it. I've never seen two nutcases up in the White House like we have right now. I'm just like, how did this even happen? I'm just like, but I think it is coming to show half of America is not pleased and they're not happy with what's going on in the country right now. And I think it's showing, and I think we all know how they both got into the White House, because I have never witnessed an election where they just close off the polls and they say, we're going to continue to count votes the next day or, days afterwards.
I mean, if you don't realize there's
really
something wrong with that. And I'm one of these, people that believes that it's pretty simple. You look at the evidence of what our country, how they've meddled in Venezuela and other elections, and to think that they don't have the same technological capability to control the destiny of our political outcomes is just naive, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, and then you look at the Australian news from Sky News, and they're laughing at us over here, thinking like, what type of fools are living in that country over there, because...
Yeah, it's Saudi Arabia. They've done like a Saturday Night Live skit in Saudi Arabia.
I was like, oh my God. I'm like, this is like Saudi Arabia, Saturday Night Live, SNL.
I'm like, I'm going to have to move there and see if I can get a job. I've been so canceled here. They like
Leigh-Allyn Baker.
They got a good sense of humor.
Leigh-Allyn Baker now on SNL Saudi Arabia,
Exactly.
That will make it all over the news. ABC News will be talking about it. Then Inside Edition will be like, former Leigh-Allyn Baker, Disney stars now live in Saudi Arabia,
That's right. And also, I want to say this because people are very confused about me politically. I just want to set the record straight. Everyone thinks that I bow down and worship Donald Trump. I just want to say this right now. I don't bow down and worship any man. I just don't. That's ridiculous. I knew where Joe Biden would take this country because I know what he's been about in politics. I'm 50 years old. I know what he's been about in politics. I know the racist things that he's said and done. I know his true character. It precedes him, but people aren't old enough, some generations, to know what was coming. The other thing is I have vaccine-injured children. I am not thrilled at all about Donald Trump making this at warp speed. It's not safe. It's not okay. I don't agree with any of it. But to mandate it would be the end of life and freedom for all of us.
Yeah.
Whether someone wants to take the vaccine or not, that's totally their choice. But if you give the government medical authority over your body, then we are forever going to be enslaved, and you'll never get that freedom back.
Now, before you left Hollywood, how have you seen everything change so much that if it doesn't get any better, how worse do you think it can get for the state of California?
So I think that it's going to get really bad. I listen. There is no ends to where they're going to go with this. I just saw something on my phone I couldn't even believe of a child, a boy dressed as a girl walking down a runway like this on like Good Morning America or something. And I don't care. I don't care if it's a boy dressed as a girl dressed as a boy. That's not the point. The point is you're sexualizing children, and that needs to stop. There was a point in time that I remember where you were not supposed to they taught children, don't keep secrets from your parents. And anyone who teaches you to keep a secret from your parent is not good. Don't let someone talk to you about body parts that are covered by a bathing suit. If they do, that's not safe. Yet this is what they're trying to teach in schools. It just has no place there. People need the freedom to figure out who they are on their own. I feel that Hollywood is such a flavor of the month. Go with whatever narrative they're told. Hollywood is so full of people who want approval so badly and so desperately that they don't even research what they're talking about. They hear a news clip or a soundbite and they're on that bandwagon as fast as you can say go. I mean, because they just want to be liked so desperately. I guess I want to be free more than I want to be liked.
Right.
Call me crazy.
With everything that we're seeing evolve in the country, having kids grow up in today's generation, how do you feel that television and movie content are changing? Like, what's the direction you feel all of this is heading, as it's very hard to find family programming on TV? I think that's why so many are enjoying the shows back in the early 2000s, those TV shows and movies that are being released on these streaming services, because if you look at content today from way back then, everything is completely different on how we view our shows and movies these days.
Yeah, because in order to get a one world government or a globalization of the world, one world order that they talk about a lot, you need to destroy the middle class. And one of the linchpins in destroying the middle class, besides financially shutting them down during pandemics and things like that, besides doing that, the other thing you need to do is destroy the family unit. And so that is just another tool in their arsenal. But I remember when I was with Disney, or right when Good Luck Charlie ended and I was doing Bad Hair Day and things like that, they kept wanting to come up with programming that was more Netflix. Like the buzzword all around Disney was to be more Netflix, more Netflix. Well, now Netflix has Netflixed themselves so far that people are canceling their subscriptions, that they've full on crossed the line into pedophilia with their Cuties and some of their other shows. And now Disney has become so Netflixed that now people don't trust Disney anymore. It's like they should have stayed in lane because parents felt safe letting their children watch that. I have parents come up to me all the time and be like, "Oh, you," and I'm like, "Babysit your children while you made dinner." Yes, I did. That was my scenario. So, but they've gotten so far away from that because everyone is so intimidated and so scared of being canceled or being badmouthed or being thought badly of. And I guess my point is, it's none of my business what people think of me. I know who I am. My close friends, my family knows who I am. Someone may say something awful about you. It's none of your business what they think of you because you know who you are.
There's something I want to bring up. With the daytime talk shows, we see many that have an audience, but they all have to wear a mask, and some that still don't have an audience at all. Like, for example, Live with Kelly and Ryan, they have had no audience for 2 years. It's going to be going on 3 if they don't get their audience back in studio here soon. But then Ryan Seacrest, co-host of the show, he can fly out to LA and tape American Idol where an audience is not socially distanced. They're not wearing a mask, but then you see the production crew wearing a mask.
Right. And there's the hint that they're giving you about the classism, right? It's a classist war, really. So they want the servants and the waiters and the working class to be masked. It's ridiculous. It's disgusting, actually. But they don't want the stars to be masked. I mean, it's all ludicrous, you see. Air is air. And it really setting up a hierarchy in a feudal system that we don't want to go back to, right? And to say that, you can get on a plane, it's all for show. If this isn't show people, ask questions. When Gavin Newsom, during the height of COVID, went to the French Laundry and had a $15,000 meal with wine on our tax-paying dollars, people need to look at the question of he didn't have a mask on, not he's a hypocrite, more, why during the height of the world's deadliest pandemic did he feel safe enough not to wear a mask? why did Nancy Pelosi, who was old and frail and a bit of a drinker, why did she feel safe enough to go to the hair salon in San Francisco and not wear a mask? Why do they, when the camera's not rolling, not have masks, and then when it's rolling, quickly put it on? Because they're not afraid. That is the simple answer. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. They're not afraid.
And speaking about politicians wanting us to keep our mask on inside, outside, take a look at Stacy Abrams. This was, a hot and heavy subject that made the news, and a lot of people were talking about it. She is photographed here with some students at it looks like an elementary school, and all the students have on masks, and here she is taking her mask off for a photo.
It makes me want to cry, to be honest, because here is a group of people that no matter what, and believe me, they've fake, phony, fudged data all over the place to get us to comply. But they can't even fake the children incidents enough. Like the kids are not harmed by it. This is the first time in the history of ever where we've taken the healthy population and sacrificed them for the sickest population. It's disgusting. It's crimes against humanity, in my opinion. Yeah. And for you to take your mask off, the whole thing is ridiculous. Those children need to be able to breathe air. They're just indoctrinating little soldiers to be compliant is all they're doing.
One thing that I like so much about you is you are not afraid to voice and share your opinion on anything. But I do want to get your take on the Oscars, because that is a big thing that happened out in Hollywood. Everyone looked so nice, glammed up. It was great to see everyone back together, not masking or 6 feet apart. They were all together, just having a great time until Will Smith goes on the stage and smacks Chris Rock in the face, all about a joke that was being made, and he took it to heart. So what is your take on that moment from the Oscars this year?
I think that a lot of things about it. One is I think that you're telling the world it's okay to do that. And the world has gotten too bold and too brazen with how they want to approach people, particularly the younger generation. I think the other thing is this. As someone who is in film and television, what struck me is odd about that. Two things. One is that Chris Rock if someone is approaching me unexpectedly in an aggressive fashion, even if I'm friends, but certainly if I'm on national television, my response is going to be this. See my hands? Hey, buddy. Hey, it's okay. Whoa, whoa. My response is going to be this. My response isn't going to be to put my hands behind my back and brace myself. The other thing that makes me question what we witnessed is, if you noticed, some director sat in a booth and called every shot. Some director sat in that booth and said, now go to Will Smith, cut to Chris, cut to Jada, cut back to Will, cut to Chris. Someone called that. If this were to actually happen and it were so spontaneous and aggressive, why wasn't a stage manager out there separating them? Why didn't they cut to black? If someone just acts a little too drunk, they'll cut to black to save face on these shows. But this, not only did it not cut to black, it showed different angles of it. It doesn't lead me to any conclusion. It just makes me ask a lot of questions. And sometimes we don't need the answers. We just need to be able to ask questions. I do find it curious that this all brought up a huge discussion of alopecia, and Pfizer just came out with their clinical trials of their alopecia medication, and they did sponsor the Oscars. So those things are a little concerning to me. At the same time, to me, it raises more questions.
A lot of media outlets, they were asking the stars that were attending a lot of these after-Oscar parties, like I think one in particular was the Vanity Fair party that has a lot of the A-listers that come to it. And one of the outlets was asking Tiffany Haddish what she thought about the incident. And she said that she would love to have a man that would stand up for a woman like that. But that is saying, I condone violence. What he did is not acceptable, and I'm so glad that the Academy took action on it, because you can't do that. I don't know why Tiffany Haddish would say such a thing, knowing that so many look up to her and how popular she is in Hollywood. It's like we're teaching our young kids it's okay to go up and smack someone if you don't like what they say.
You don't commit violence towards another person. Certainly, I don't even understand it. To me, it's like I tell my 2-year-old when he was 2, hands on your own body. Like, why are we having to say this to adults? Hands on your own body. You know, the truth of the matter is, if I walked up on that stage and I slapped Chris Rock in the face, I would have been in handcuffs before I got my hot little butt back to my seat, right? I'd have been drug out of that room, as I should have been, as it should have been, because you don't have the right to lay hands on other people.
Well, now let's talk all things family camp. It's your new movie, faith-based film, coming out in theaters in May. This movie has so much heart and has a lot of comedy all mixed in. And I think families, when they go check it out in theaters, they are going to love every minute of it. But how did you land the role? And tell us more about this film. Tell us what it's all about.
So family camp is about this family that the mom feels that they're all losing their way. I play Grace Ackerman, and her daughter's head is always in her cell phone. Her son is always mixing with some little gadgets that he's trying to play with. The dad's always wheeling and dealing with work or playing a golf match, and she realizes we have a finite time with our children and with our family, and how do we make the most of it? And right when the husband walks in late to church, he says, "How do I make it up to you?" And she says, "How about we go to that family camp?" And so they, for the first time ever as a family, go to a church camp. And the guy who plays my husband, Tommy, does not pay the bill. And so we get stuck sharing a yurt with a very overly religious family. And it's really hilarious to see a Christian comedy go there, because they never do. They never do. Christian comedies, there is no Christian comedy. First of all, they just play it very, very safe because no one wants to be offended. This isn't offensive towards God. It's not offensive towards Jesus Christ. It is laughing at and laughing with us as human beings and how foibled and faulty we are trying to find our path to goodness and our path to being a family.
Now, this being a faith-based movie, why do you feel it's important for more of us faith-based believers to see this type of content in the movie theaters and on television? Because it's so rarely, Alan, to see anything that has to do with faith on TV. Like, for example, the national morning news programs that we watch on a daily, they can't talk about anything religion because they feel like they might offend a viewer.
Right. Okay. So that's ridiculous. They all do that. My Jewish friend, who, if they were to come up to me and say Happy Hanukkah, I would hug them and say Happy Hanukkah. It does not offend me. I love that they want to celebrate their faith. And so for me to say to someone, Merry Christmas, no, I don't have to say Happy Winter Solstice, Happy Festive Lights. You know, no, it's
Merry Xmas, you know, like.
Right. So I don't understand how it could possibly be made offensive to make room for everybody. You know, and I have noticed a while back that there has been a real attack on Christianity and on other religions, and I will not be a part of that. And I love this movie because it celebrates humanity, it celebrates our faults, and it celebrates God.
Now, speaking of family camp, when we all go watch this film in May in theaters, what do you want the audiences to take away from the film?
It's really funny. My biggest hope is that people just go to the theater and enjoy laughing with one another. That is my biggest hope for this. I mean, I would love it if it brings more people to Christ, if it brings more people to God, if it gives more people the comfort of faith. I know that I have some of my Jewish friends that are going to go see it because they know that this is going to be a hilarious, enjoyable movie, whether they're Christians or not, you know, and they want to support me because they're my friends. And then my other big hope is that we get a sequel. And why can't faith-based films have like a European vacation, Christmas vacation type of sequels? You know, why can't we do that? Why can't we laugh at ourselves? Mm-hmm. Your choice in life is to laugh at yourself or cry. So I choose to laugh.
Do you think you'll have more faith-based films to come? Is this the type of path that you would like to continue in your career and have more, you know, family, faith-based movies, maybe a TV show coming in the near future?
I would love to go down. I would love to continue down this path. I would love it. I am not going to get an injection in my body in order to have a career or a job. It's not a game I'm willing to play. I am not a willing participant in that, and I'm not going to aid and abet to that kind of crime against humanity. Everyone gets the choice. So it will have to be a production that abides by those rules, or I just won't play along.
Well, Leigh-Allyn Baker, this has been a great conversation. I've enjoyed getting to talk with you. It was such a pleasure to get to meet you virtually. Hopefully, I can actually get to meet you in person. I would be honored to take you out for lunch and just, we
I
have a
would love
great
to have lunch with you.
lunch, And I've been to Tennessee multiple times, so, maybe we can get back up there and I can come actually get to meet you. I'll just, whenever I get up to Tennessee, I'll let you know and
Please
maybe
reach out.
you're
I
not
would,
busy.
please. I would love it.
Yeah. Oh, that would be so fun. I think we would laugh and giggle and just talk about everything.
Yes, I would love it.
So tell our audience when and where they can catch Family Camp, because it's going to be in theaters in May, but tell us the exact date so we don't miss out.
Friday, May 13th, it opens in theaters. So let's show the world that Friday the 13th is a lucky number.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm excited about it, and I just hope that you all go to the theater, enjoy laughing, sitting next to people, and that you all have a wonderful time watching it.
Leigh-Allyn Baker, it has been a delight to get to speak with you this morning. Thank you for a great conversation. I so greatly appreciate it. It was such an honor and a pleasure to get to meet you, and thank you so much.
You're so welcome. You're such a joy, and anytime, you reach out anytime.
Oh, I will. You take care. You have a great day.
You too. Have a blessed day. I'll talk to you soon.